Hey, remember the 2CV? Yes, I do still own it. One problem has been shock absorbers. The fronts are very tired lip messes. The rears are brand new Monroes that I'm not very impressed with. I'm trying to find a really bad road to drive along to show you how bad things are, but that's quite difficult in Wales because they actually look after the roads. Even this tiny back road is in really good condition, but I've noticed I've had some terrifying moments in this car where I've been cornering pretty hard because that's how I've always driven the 2CV, and if I've hit a bump mid-bend it has skipped across the road rather alarmingly, and that's because the wheels are, you've got patter, so the wheel is coming off the ground repeatedly at high speed, which means you've got less grip. It's that simple. I'm hoping this video from Burton 2CV, who made the new dampers, will show you what the problem is and how it has been overcome. I've got rattling from that window, I need to adjust the catch a bit, but it's all a bit too bouncy and it's not as refined as a 2CV. Right, should be. Oh, this road's perfect. So we're now at the fitting stage. These are from Burton. These were free, to be fair. They sent me a pair they've tested. It says AMI. This is not an AMI, this is a 2CV, so it's a little bit lighter. So we'll see how these do. That's the shorter damper, believe it or not. That's fully extended, that's for the front. The rear is even longer. That's at full extension, just because I'm making sure I'm fitting them the right way round and to the right part of the car. And on these ones it says to have the plastic cap, the thicker bit, higher up. So that attaches to the suspension, the metal end attaches to the chassis, and all is good, and changing them shouldn't be too difficult. If we come under here, there we go, there is the existing damper. So all I've got to do is undo that bolt and that bolt, pull it off, and it hasn't been on there long, so it should actually come off. You can see all the anti-corrosion wax I've sprayed around under there to try and stop my 2CV rotting away again, and that's its original galvanised chassis. It's a bit more complicated on the passenger side because you've got the exhaust to work around, but seeing as this tip of the garage, it's still a mess. I'm sorry. It is the way it is. It's going to be easier to do this side first, so let's get it done. Right, that shock absorber came off really easily, and there's a simple reason for that. Let's just show you the pin. Where are we? So there's the pin that the shock absorber sits on, and last time I gave it a good old soaking in good old copper grease. If you don't do that, what you tend to find is that the pin on the shock absorber, or rather this bush in the middle, tends to seize on the pin on the car, which means you can't get the sodding things off, and it becomes an absolute battle. Apologise for the contrast changes, so I'm going to give them another soaking in this stuff and get the dampers on. So I've got the rears replaced now, and if we come round to the back and give it a bounce, it now seems to stop bouncing instantly, so that's good. I was hoping to change the fronts as well, but I got slightly distracted because the supermarket delivery van has got stuck on my driveway, so I'm going to have to go for a drive with just the rears changed. So we've changed the Monroe shocks for the Burton dampers. I still need to do the fronts, but I'm meant to be in Brecon for a Jaguar do in 3 hours time. I still need to pack, have lunch and get on my way. So there shall be a temporary break in proceedings. Well, it's a few days later and I'm finally getting around to replacing the front dampers on my Citroen 2CV. So I've got one of the old ones off. Look at the state of that. Looks like it's been parked in the sea. I think it's actually still doing a reasonable job of damping, but it's definitely seen better days. You can see the rubber's starting to perish at the end of that one. So definitely best to get rid of it. Incidentally, you'll note all 4 wheels are still on the ground. Very easy to replace the dampers on a 2CV just while it sits there. So the front dampers bolt to this plate, which bolts to the end of the axle arm in here, so you can actually see the wheel bearing, another wheel bearing, the axle arm bearing. Look at the size of that. Serious bit of engineering. Looking a bit dry in there though, so I might pack it with grease before I put the end plate back on. Slight catastrophe, as it turns out I'm missing one of these spacer washers. This isn't one, this is too big, and the nut doesn't sit very well in the middle of it. And the problem with having a washer that's too big is that it destroys the bush, because it's squeezing the rubber and not acting on the bush behind it. So yeah, that hasn't helped. Well, thanks to my friend Ian, I have extra washers, so I've been able to fit one new damper at the front. So that makes 3 I've changed now. There's a slight problem with a 4th though. Remember I told you to use copper grease to avoid the bushes seizing? Well, there's no bush in there, that's just the rubber. And that's because on the other side you can see the bush is firmly welded by corrosion and muck to this pin. So now I've got a problem. I think heat is probably a good idea to try and break the bond, but my blowtorch is out of gas. So once again this project comes crashing to a halt. Blah. And we're having some success. I had to resort to heat with a blowtorch and extreme heat and mold grips, and it should come off any minute. Holding the camera and talking to you at the same time. Ah, there we go. Not very easy, but there we go. That is the bush. Maybe it'd be easier if I went this way, a bit less contrast. There is my 2CV, and there is the bush. So that's come out of the old shock absorber, and at least now I should be able to get new ones on, then I can finally go for a test drive. Hooray! Well, I've now got all the dampers fitted. And yeah, oh, it feels very different. The suspension is back to just absorbing everything. This is not a smooth road I'm driving along, but I can barely feel a thing here. Oh, what a difference. But what's making the difference is the composure. A Citroen 2CV has very long travel suspension, so if you haven't got good dampers, you're bouncing around all over the place. Oh, blimey. That's a very big ramp. It's got a water pipe under it. Bit of an unfair test. That wasn't there last time. So this is a much rougher road. We're still getting pitched around a bit, and I've still got that window rattling, so I apologise for that noise. Yeah, that is much improved. So there we are then. You have a happy hub nut sitting in his 2CV with much better suspension. All seems well with the world. And that's about it for this video. We have further adventures planned for this 2CV, so you have to see what transpires later this year. But
thank you for watching as ever. Don't forget to subscribe and see what we're up to next time. Farewell.